What's going on, big fella? Today we are talking about the duality of being the bigger friend. For those of you that don't know, I've lost 110 pounds. I grew up 300 pounds. I know what it's like to be the heavy guy at the family reunion, the heaviest guy in the office, the heaviest guy at the restaurant, the heaviest guy in the friend group. I know what it's like to get kicked off of roller coasters because it's too big. I know what it's like to hide my body in hoodies and tuck my chin underneath my shirt or hoodie at all times. Today we're going to talk about the duality of it, the good and the bad aspects of being a big fella, a gentle giant, a husky man, whatever people around you tend to call. The one I got called the most was big fella. I also got called gentle giant quite a bit. So let's dive in. The first one is that big guys are incredible romantic partners. Now, does it seem like I'm tooting my own horn here? Yeah, I get it. I see how that would think that. I'm not gonna lie, I do like to brag about my relationship. I have been with one girl my entire life. I have been with her for 6 years. We live together. She's 2 rooms over, and we were long distance when we first got started. And the fact that we have lived together for 5 years at such a young age, we don't fight. Life is very good here on the home front, and it's something I like to brag about because it's not an unachievable thing. Bigger guys tend to be excellent romantic partners because they are loyal as hell. They know what it's like to be undervalued. They know what it's like to be overlooked. So when somebody does give them the affection that they need, they're going to stay loyal to them. Friend, romantic partner, whatever the case might be. They are loyal across the board. If you treat them with kindness, they will 100% reciprocate that tenfold. Also, big guys are way less superficial. They are far less likely to judge you on appearance or just general looks because they've been used to being judged their entire lives. Most bigger guys are also usually pretty funny. You want to know why? It's because we were using it as a defense mechanism. If you are the biggest guy in the room at any social situation, a good way to take the attention off of your weight was to be the jokester. If you can make the people around you laugh, if you can make your boss laugh, that's the best form of networking for bigger guys. Because I'm going to be honest with you, there is a thin privilege that comes with building up your career or just overall being perceived as more successful. The thinner you are, the more successful you are perceived. If you are heavier, you are perceived to be not as successful. And you can call that bullshit all you want. I've lived it. I have people that just assume that I'm doing much better, whether I am or I'm not, just purely off of the fact that I was thinner. Also, big guys have pretty big feet. And you know what big feet mean? Big shoes. But this podcast is about the duality of the big guy. There are some bad parts to this as well. But now let's talk about some of the cons in romantic relationships with a big guy. Big guys don't like themselves very much. I used to absolutely hate my physique, and because of that, it drifted into just hate for myself, period. You gotta like yourself enough, or at least be working on liking yourself before you can ever enter an actual romantic relationship. And when you find the right person, you're gonna want to improve yourself. You're gonna want to boss up. Shortly after I met Ashley, that's when I started the weight loss journey 3 months later. Ashley and I met in the spring of 2019, and I started losing weight a year into our relationship. Myself and a lot of the bigger guys that I work with tend to try to help other people more than they try to help themselves. They help others because they feel like the other people deserve it because they like them, because they're loyal. But as soon as it comes time to start improving their own lives or helping themselves or investing time or energy into themselves, it gets really hairy really quickly, and that consistency or that motivation dies out in like a week. That's why so many of them are stuck in weight loss journeys. That's why so many big guys are stuck in fitness journeys, constantly restarting the diet. It's because they're loyal to other people, but they don't know how to be loyal to themselves. The next topic is a built personality and a deeper personality. When you are bigger and your appearance can't get you into rooms, you need your personality to shine through. That's why I find a lot of bigger guys can be extroverted, and they do it because they kind of forced themselves to. You got to be more self-sufficient, and you got to have thicker skin than the average person when you're bigger, despite whatever your age might be, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I remember disrespect getting slid my way all the time, whether it was intentional or unintentional, but it was rooted from my weight. So that helped me develop a thick skin and not reacting to it nearly as much, because nothing ever good came from me reacting to it. But now that I've lost the weight, I'm realizing that being heavy in my late teens and my early 20s and then losing the weight really helped me develop as a person. I understood empathy a hell of a lot more than some of my thinner friends. That's what makes your average big guy a better friend or a better partner, or hell, probably a better employee too. But the bad thing on this though is most big guys really still don't like themselves. They have a very poor dialogue with themselves. Now you might be thinking, what the fuck does a dialogue with myself look like? Your self-dialogue is the thoughts that you have with yourself to yourself. Now, maybe you don't journal, maybe you don't go to therapy or whatever, you don't have to. But how do you think about yourself? How do you account for yourself in this situation? Is there any time where you succeed in something, but you never celebrate your wins because that's just what's expected of you? Anything less is a failure, and if you do accomplish the goal, you just move on to the next thing. You don't know how to celebrate that. That's a massive problem for bigger guys. The second way this really comes into bigger guys' lives is that it comes through distraction. A lot of the guys that I work with are workaholic. They're putting up overtime. They're trying to stack their bread as much as they possibly can to build a better future for themselves or for their families. Now that's amazing, and obviously the guys that are working with me are working on their health and improving their mindset, but a lot of bigger guys are doing this out of distraction. A lot of bigger guys overthink a lot. So what do? They distract themselves. Sometimes it's with something more positive, like social interaction and helping others, or working longer hours, or building a side hustle, or trying to start a business. That's positive for the most part. There's negatives with everything. But there's also a huge percentage of us that are drinking, or doing drugs, or lusting. These are also distractions. It occupies your mind and stimulates you to where you don't have to think about anything that's going wrong in your life. What do you think is going to change? The quality of your life is directly determined by your ability to have difficult conversations. The first conversation must always be with yourself. Another really good pro to being heavy, you have killer calves. I'm going to be honest with you. Killer calves, I mean, dude, I get complimented on my calves more than any other part of my physique almost. People ask me, what's my calf routine? I'm like, here you go. Be morbidly obese for 18 years. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. It didn't really help myself, and I'll say that to clients in my big fella system. I was like, yeah, you're going to have killer calves by the end of this journey. That's going to be a given. I want to make sure you know how to actually measure your progress. So if you don't like your body and you want to actually like the way you look, focus more on progress photos and non-scale victories instead of the scale. My clients will take progress pictures once per month, and when you see that stomach actually shrink side by side, when you see the jawline start to come in side by side, when you start seeing your shoulders actually start capping out and getting rounder, that's a really good feeling that the scale won't ever give you. And you're not going to be the greatest at really seeing it yourself, so sometimes I have to kind of help outline. Like, I just did a progress picture with one of my clients, Scott, not too long ago, and I'm not going to show it on the screen, but he did an excellent job in his first 30 days. He's down 15 pounds, pushing 20 already in his first month. And I'm like, you see how incredible this is, right? He's pretty hard on himself, but he was actually pretty pleased with losing 15 pounds and his stomach shrinking significantly. So take your progress photos. Even if you don't feel like you're 100% on a committed weight loss journey, just start taking them. Also start tracking your progress in other ways. 5 years ago, I started an investment journal. It's literally just a file on my computer right here. I gave updates once per month or so about how I was tracking my investments, what my investment plan was, what my net worth was, because what you track shows what you care about. How much you prepare is how much you care. So whatever level of life you're trying to progress in, put more focus into that by tracking it, talking about it, and seeing that transformation happen. When you start getting apathetic about your situation, when you stop caring about your well-being or what happens in your life, that usually comes from a place of severe stagnation for a prolonged period of time. If I were to ask you, hey, if you lived the last 365 days all over again, would you be happy or sad about that? What would your answer be? Really sit down and think about that. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So here's my primary action step for any of you big fellas listening today. First of all, if you are new here and you're not subscribed yet, I'm not really sure what you're doing. This is the #1 place on the internet for big guys. We don't discriminate here. I know what it's like not taking your shirt off and avoiding what it looks like in the mirror, and I know what it's like to lose the weight and actually gain confidence in my body. I want that for you. I also want you to be able to transform your mind so you actually like the person that you are, so you can help more people around you and make the world a better place. Very simply, those are my evil intentions here. That's my secret diabolical plan. So let's talk action steps now. If you resonated with everything I said in this video and you are starting to kind of feel stuck and you know you've been pushing away the problem and just distracting and pushing it down the line, we need to change that with action. So first, we need to figure out your why and your how. How did we get here and why do we want to change? Most guys avoid this uncomfortable conversations with themselves because they're not used to talking about themselves. It's still still feels kind of weird talking about myself or my feelings or my emotions. It's still weird. Trust me, I don't particularly love sitting here talking about my emotions on the internet. But if I'm not doing it for you guys, who is? So first, you need to figure out, what are you unhappy with? Are you unhappy with your job, your level of income, your weight, how big your stomach protrudes, how little muscle you feel like you have? Maybe your back hurts from being overweight. Maybe your knees, your ankles hurt. All big guys have bad knees. That's just a given. Whatever your problem is, primary coping mechanism that you're probably using is either self-isolation or distraction, like we said earlier. You're distracting yourself, whether it's positive or negative distraction, or you're just isolating. So whenever you do start thinking about it or feeling about it, you don't let anybody know about it. Don't do that. You don't have to go and talk to somebody about it right away. You don't have to go to therapy either, even though I think it might not be a terrible idea. But what you absolutely should be doing, number one, write stuff down. I journal aggressively. I haven't been diagnosed for anything, but I am almost certain I have some sort of ADHD and probably some sort of OCD, OCPD. So my mind is constantly ruminating on different thoughts. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's like sometimes your livelihood on the line. Now, luckily, I'm in a position where that's not as big of a risk anymore. Regardless, you need to be writing shit down. It has made me more money. It has helped me lose more weight, and it has helped me build more muscle. Kidlin's Law. I'm going to keep yelling it from the rooftops. A problem written is a problem had. Write shit down. You don't have to talk to anybody specifically right away, but the more you can write stuff down. Like I mentioned, my investment journal is just a notepad application on my desktop. Have small little private journals over specific pieces of your life. Some guys will bring a pen and paper into the gym tracking their sets. Add little notes to that as well. Talk to yourself there. Whatever works best for you. Voice memos, Snapchat my eyes only, pen and paper, sticky notes. It doesn't matter the medium, it just matters that it gets done, because this is going to help you find your why and your how, and it's also going to help you set goals moving forward. So number one, you need to figure out, why do I want to change? Why do I no longer want to feel like this anymore? And if you haven't been talking about this with yourself yet, usually it's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation. Point blank, I had this conversation with myself one day back in April of 2020. I was at my highest weight recorded on the scale, which was 309. And I know that wasn't my peak weight. My peak weight was probably closer to like 320. But I just simply asked myself, it's the middle of COVID. If I cannot lose this weight that has been burdening me my entire life right now, I might as well never try again. Because if I can't do it when I have every hour of every day to myself, when the fuck am I going to do it? And I was like, I want to have kids one day. I don't want to be the fat dad. And I want to actually live a life where I can enjoy. For the first 2 decades of my life, I never got to know what that feeling was like. So when you talk about why do you want to change, look back at when you were younger. What itch was left unscratched from childhood that you want to go back and fulfill? People ask me, how do you find your purpose? This is also the same mechanism I use to help people find what they want to do. What did you not get in childhood that you want to have now as an adult? For me, it was the feeling of liking the way my body looked and actually be able to take my shirt off at the pool. Once you have your why identified, you're going to need a lot less motivation to get stuff done. You also need to look at the how. What is the dragon that we need to slay first? What is the biggest habit, action, environment holding you back? For me, it was my binge eating habits. I binge ate on a regular basis. I board ate out of a regular basis, and I had zero knowledge of nutrition. I was coming home and housing 4 packs of ramen every day and then eating dinner 2 hours later. I knew and very quickly realized if I wanted to lose that weight, how I was going to do it was addressing that binge eating first. And luckily, I've now been able to help hundreds of other guys overcome their binge eating habits as well. Stress eating, emotional eating, all of it kind of is encompassed by a binge eating behavior. And this brings me to my last point. This will allow you to do more hard shit on purpose. Once you have a why, once you have a how, you can get a direction forward. Pick something difficult to do or something new to do to get yourself started with, but make it just uncomfortable enough to where you're proud of yourself for getting it done. And you don't have to sit there and say, I'm proud of myself. You just need to do the hard shit, but do it on purpose. Going to work on a day where you don't want to go to work is hard. Yeah, but you still do it. That's a non-negotiable. I'm talking about doing something that for most people isn't negotiable, is an extra. You need to start treating it like a non-negotiable because you don't want to be like most people nowadays. I ran a 5K on Monday. I did not want to run a 5K on Monday, but I still ran a 5K on Monday. I did hard things on purpose. The longer you do this, the more frequently you do these difficult things on purpose, the better you're going to start feeling about yourself. You don't have to sit there and think about it actively. Your subconscious will change your perception of you. And I know it sounds wild. Think about it if you were watching yourself do this in a movie screen from the top down. If you were watching a documentary of your life unfold and all of a sudden the main character starts going on runs and lifting weights and studying and learning new skills, you're going to respect that character more. You are the movie character in this story. You like it when the main characters go through a struggle and then start working hard. That's the basis of almost every story you've ever watched. Every superhero movie, Rocky, sports movies, they're all the same way. I'm a Michigan fan, but Rudy's an excellent movie for motivation. You're the hero in this story, as cheesy as it sounds. You need to start realizing, how can I get myself to like the main character of this movie? Know your why, know your how, write shit down, and do hard things on purpose. That's how you can transform your life as a bigger guy. So that, my friend, is the duality of the big man and some of my favorite action steps to improve some of those negatives that a lot of you guys are feeling. And I know you're feeling them because I have felt them before. If you want your first 25 days of your weight loss journey completely mapped out for you, I have a free email course in the top of the description. It'll be the first link right up there. Again, it's completely free. You'll get one email from me every single day for the next 25 days. I also throw in a couple extra ones there at the end for you. Go through that first, and if you want any more help after that, you can shoot me a DM and we can talk about working together. Hope you guys have been enjoying the summertime, by the way. I've been hitting the beach and running and swimming a ton. Just trying to take advantage of the nice weather before it goes back to 2 feet of snow in the wintertime. All right, I'm out. Keep it simple, big fella.